Okay, so thank you very much for being here with me today. My name is Leslie Weinstein, and I'm going to do a presentation about Ikebana, Find Your Inner Balance in a Sustainable Art. I'm a graphic designer, and I've been living in Madrid, Spain for over 30 years. I'm originally from Lima, Peru, and I started in the world of Ikebana over 20 years ago. In my kids' school, as the vice president of Ikebana International, hung a poster for an Ikebana exhibition that was going to take place at the Botanical Garden here in Madrid. And I just couldn't stop staring at the poster. And that's how I fell in love with it. It was love at first sight. So that's how I started. And I got so engaged in it that I became a teacher. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this path. So if it's okay with you, your audios are gonna be turned off. And at the end, we're gonna have time for questions and answers. And if you wanna share any comments, you're welcome to. So I'm gonna start telling you about the history of Ikebana. Ikebana was introduced in Japan in the 6th century by Chinese Buddhist missionaries who had formalized the ritual of offering flowers to the Buddha. So it has always been a spiritual art. The name comes from the Japanese Ike, meaning alive or arrange, and Bana, meaning flower. This doesn't mean that the flowers don't already have a life, but we give them a new life when we do our compositions and when we combine them with other branches and other materials. The rules were created by a priest who was unsatisfied with the way flowers were arranged. He said, for instance, that flowers should never look down. They should always look up because the energy you get from them is a totally different one. Or that the arrangements had to be in groups of 3, representing the harmony in the universe between the sky, mankind, and the earth. In this example, for instance, this is a basic upright style Moribana. And when we start learning Ikebana, we start with these basic traditional arrangements. So here we have the 3 main branches, which is the Shin, the Soe, and the Hikai. The sky, the humankind, and the earth. And the rest of flowers and branches are the complementary materials to make your arrangement a whole. The respect and sensibility Japanese people have towards nature is well known. In the 15th century, Japan experimented an artistic explosion in architecture, poetry, and gardening. Different Ikebana schools arose. Ikenobo is the oldest. Nowadays, there are so many Ikebana schools. I belong to the Sogetsu school. In 1927, Sofu Teshigahara founded the Sogetsu school. He learned flower arrangements from his father, who had studied many styles from different schools. The difference in the Sogetsu school lies in the belief that once all the rules are learned and the techniques mastered, an unbounded field remains for freer personal expression using varied materials, not just flowers. His daughter, Kasumi, was the second Iemoto director. After her early death at 47, her brother, Hiroshi, became the third Iemoto. He is also a famous film director. Nowadays, Akane Shigahara, Hiroshi's daughter, is the fourth Iemoto of the Sogetsu school. She says that to make an Ikebana arrangement, you need to put your heart in the arrangement. And that's really what I love about this school. Several things that I mentioned here, like Sofu Shigahara, the founder of this school, he said that anyone, anywhere could do an Ikebana arrangement with the material that you have. Like if he was in the desert, he could do an arrangement with sand. And nowadays that we are in confinement, we have to be very creative with the materials we can use in our arrangement, since flowers and branches are not that easily, are not that available to us. So here in this arrangement, I manipulated aspidistra leaves, doing a cone shape and repeating the shape, also to simulate the shape of the vase. So when you do an arrangement, everything has to be a unity and to connect one thing to the other. It has to flow. The path of flowers, that's called Kado. It is a creative and meditative art, a dance between nature, space, and perception. It is a path to our inner selves, a way to experiment with flowers and branches and to express ourselves. Touching the living plants and making compositions with them allows us to touch other people's hearts. In the Sogetsu school, we are allowed to combine these living materials with unconventional materials. In this way, our creativity expands and we experiment in such unusual ways. So in this arrangement here, I made nice curves with the red cornus, which is a very flexible material. And it's actually very nice and very nourishing. Also the connection you have with the material you work. I think actually it's all a matter of connection since the beginning. And I think it's not only that way in Ikebana, but in your lives, in your day-to-day, how you connect with people, how you connect with your job, how you connect with your environment. When I go to the flower shop to get my material, I decide which flower I'm going to use because of the connection I feel with the material I see, branches, flowers, whatever it is. And so it happens with the vase that I'm going to use, with the container. So it all has to match, to connect, to flow. The benefits of practicing Ikebana. It is a way of life in permanent communication with nature. It makes us pause our hectic lifestyles, helping us to connect with our inner selves and to express ourselves. Our arrangement brings a special energy to the space where it is placed. It helps us experience mindfulness, living the present fully, making us aware of the season we're in and the reality of the moment we are living, like these days that we are in confinement, for instance. It provides inner peace that reflects our way of being. It makes us more tolerant with others by accepting the imperfections in the materials we use. We even bring beauty out of those imperfections. That is called wabi-sabi, the beauty in the impermanent and imperfect. Making the best out of the materials we have teaches us to do the same with the people we are surrounded by. Excuse me. And with the different situations we face in life. Life is ephemeral, and so are our arrangements. So by these learnings we get, like that life is ephemeral, for instance, we start working with our flowers with the closed buds, and then they open, and then they mature, and then they dry. So that makes us conscious of that things begin and end. And that's also something we have to apply in our day-to-day to make the best out of each moment we have. In this arrangement, I've used, as you see, a dry leaf. When I saw this leaf, I was really engaged by its beauty and the curves it has, the way it dried. And in the vase I used, I saw also these repeating shapes that for me connect with the shape of the leaf. Also, I used here dry skin of the pomegranate, which was eaten by birds. And it was really beautiful, the yellow inside the pomegranate and the shape it got because of the way that the birds had eaten them. Having this yellow connecting to the yellow flower that is in the back. And the green leaf that really is what brings life to the arrangement. Personal milestones with Ikebana. As you cultivate an eye for the appreciation of the beauty around you, you develop gratitude and a greater feeling of love. You learn to be patient. You will start to see beauty in things you never observed before. And actually, this is very funny because now that that I have to be creative, finding materials, when I go to the groceries, I see a can and I love the cover of it, and I think, I'm gonna do an arrangement with the covers of the cans. Or whenever, you know, I'm having a yogurt and I love the container, so I'm saving, and it's like I'm saving so much material that instead of having it as waste, I save it for my arrangements. And it's in this way that I call the presentation, Find Your Inner Balance in a Sustainable Art, because Ikebana is a very sustainable art. You can reuse and reuse, and as I said before, you give a new life to your material. Actually, I think I'm gonna finish this screen, but I think I skipped the screen about the principles of Ikebana. I'm gonna go back to those when I finish this one. you will learn to find solutions and be creative, not only with regard to Ikebana. So like in this arrangement over here, I have this triangular shape that I wanted to make to repeat the shape of the vase over here. So the snake grass, which is the material I used, is hollow inside. So I put a wire inside to get the shape that I wanted. Or like the ends of the snake grass that had these little shapes here. And I wanted to show one of them facing one way and the other one facing that way. So the wire also helps you manipulate better your material. So you start finding solutions in your arrangement, but that later extends also to your day-to-day. You will learn to focus on what is important, first in your arrangement and then in your day-to-day. Flowers bring inner peace and serenity to our body, mind, and soul. So it's actually very nourishing when you touch your materials, your living materials, it nourishes your soul. So I think actually I skipped. Yeah. I think I skipped this screen for some reason. Some of the principles, did I? Yeah. So some of the principles in Ikebana. There are 50 principles in Ikebana, and here there are some of them that for me are very important. It is a minimalist art. Less is more. So you have really to emphasize what is important and leave aside what is not. Very important to take the negative empty space into consideration. Like here, this empty space reinforces the taken space. Excuse me, could you please silence your audios? There's somebody that doesn't have the audio silent. Okay, so asymmetry is a must. It would be very easy to find balance in a symmetrical composition. So finding the balance in an asymmetrical composition is the goal. Silence helps you connect with your inner self. Beautiful flowers not always make beautiful Ikebana. Ikebana is always intertwined with our lives and the times we are living. Your arrangement should represent the essence of nature. You should communicate with the flowers as you work with them. Like when you are going to bend a material, you have to listen to your material so that it doesn't break. So you communicate with what you work with. Have a fresh approach, movement, balance, and harmony. The three elements to take into consideration are line, color, and mass. In this arrangement, we have here the chrysanthemum, which are the mass, and well, the color also of the chrysanthemum, the green leaves, and I use bark, which here they give they are the lines of the arrangement. cultivates an eye for appreciation and a hand for creation. Practicing is the only way to progress. So I'm gonna show you some other arrangements I have made. Like this one here that you see is called Amore Mono, which is an arrangement with fruits and vegetables. And as I am talking about the sustainable art that Ikebana is, I got these pumpkins for Halloween, which was 6 months ago. And instead of throwing them away, I decided to paint them, inspired by Yayoi Kusama, who is an artist that I really love. So I painted them with yellow and black dots, and not only painted them, but then it's important how you're gonna put them in your arrangement and how you're gonna make connections and also movement, and that everything works together. In this arrangement, I used red wood strips, and if you see the container, it has also lines, like circle lines around it. And I wanted to make with the red wood strips the same effect, but having the lines come out of the vase and making the movement in the arrangement, as well as the green corners here give the direction of the arrangement. Combined with the physalis here, which I opened here, one of them, to make the shape of a flower and make a different one and add one more element to the arrangement. In this arrangement, I used these props that I've had for many years, and I love them. I love this. Please silence your audio if you don't mind. You can turn them on at the end for questions and answers. Thank you. Somebody still has their audio on. Please check and silence it. So in this arrangement, I use these trunks, which I've had for many years, and I combined it with a palm tree branch, which an Ikebana friend gave to me. It was still fresh when I got it. And as you see here, the fruits are still a little green. That's why I use the Molusella, which is this green branch, to combine it with it. Please silence your audios. I don't know who has their audio on. Please silence it. Let me see if I can do it. No. Wait. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, I combined the Molusella to connect with the little fruits here in the palm tree branch, and having everything work. Also, the container I used is gold, and it connects with this yellow part of the branch and the yellow flower. This is an arrangement I made for a hotel here in Madrid, where I do the monthly arrangements. And this was for a fashion event that was going on. And I decided to use the structure made out of rattan with the purple paper, so that it connects with the fabrics of the dresses in the event. So I am now giving online Ikebana lessons, and as I told you before, now with the confinement, I have to be very creative with the materials, and I decided to use eggshells, um, which I painted them in yellow, combined with straws, which you can find at the supermarket. So here I'm doing a series actually of lessons using juice boxes. Since they contain liquid, we can put water in them and use them with living flowers and living material as well. So this is one of the examples of the juice containers. And here I used blue straws combined with yellow straws. And when, as you see here, when you combine them and when you put one into the other, you get like little pieces of green. So that also adds like one more element to your arrangement. And like here, you see this little piece of yellow straw, which gives a depth feeling to your arrangement. Depth is also a very important factor to take into consideration when you make an Ikebana arrangement, because it's a three-dimensional art. So here is the same exercise actually, but showing that you can also use it with living flowers. So here I am lucky to have these azaleas here at home. So I changed the yellow straws for pink straws, combining them with the blue in this case, and getting like little pieces of purple when they were combined. So this is another example of the juice boxes. And in here I combined the juice box with a blue wire, which I have from the florists. But I think if you have hangers from the dry cleaners, you can also cut them and reshape them and make a beautiful arrangement, combining it here with physalis. And I opened them to show the little orange fruit, which gives color and life to the arrangement. So to end up with, this is an arrangement, an Ikebana arrangement I made with a structure that for me represents the tree of life. And I combined it with green leaves and living flowers as a prayer for hope and healing to the world in these times. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I really hope that you experiment with it and you try it, or at least that you learned something new today. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time with me, and now you can turn on your audios, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or comments you have.
I have a question, actually.
Yes.
You said that you have to have always threes.
That's right.
So, but I have seen that sometimes you have used 2 flowers and not 3 flowers.
Yes. Thank you, Edith, for the question. Okay, so when we start Ikebana, we start with basic traditional arrangements, like this composition that you see here, which has the shin, the soil, the hikae, which are the main branches. After you learn the basic techniques and the basic arrangements, you can go to a freestyle arrangement. So yes, you're right. You start with and some schools like are more strict with the rules than others. And that's what I actually love, and that's actually what engaged me from the Sogetsu school, that allows you to be to have a lot of freedom, not only in the techniques and manipulating the leaves, but also in the unconventional materials that you can use. Thank you for the question.
I have a question, Les.
Sí.
And thank you for this unbelievable course. Thank you. Wonderful. How do you get to pull and manipulate the leaves that way? And also, you have a beautiful arrangement there with wooden string, I think you call it, the pink. Does it come that way, or do you use special tools to twist them or glue them together? How do you get that bending of material that sometimes you create?
The pink, do you mean the green leaves, these ones?
In this one, for example, you see that the leaf is folded and it stays like that. But sometimes when I fold a leaf, it goes back.
Right.
So
right.
I don't know whether.
Yes, there are techniques that you have to learn, and I'll be happy to teach you. But in this case, for instance, you tear a little bit the leaf and you put it through. So you intertwine the leaf in a way that it holds that way.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? I think we're on time. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your time with me today, and hope to see you all soon.
Bravo, Les.
Bravo.
Bravo.